Oh, not bad. So girls and boys, Big Brother are finally sending out their application forms for next summer's show. Are you going to be applying or not? Well, I thought I'd make this video and share with you a little bit of my experience of what I had to go through the application stage, and hopefully give you some pointers to have a successful application. We're going back way past 22 years now, probably closer to 23 years. I seen a documentary in Holland about Big Brother, and it said it was potentially coming to the UK. Nobody had heard of it in the UK when I asked people about it. And I actually wrote off to the company and said, if you are, consider me as an applicant. So when the applications did start coming out back in 1999, I quickly got one and filled it in and sent it all off. Now initially it was just, I don't know, maybe about a 10-page one. That was quite simple. Filled it all in, sent it off. And then I got asked for group games. So I got sent to a hotel in Birmingham where I met hundreds of other people, and we got kind of segregated off into small groups, which was kept changing around, and we were given games and tasks to do. And I remember on the day, the groups that I was getting put in and the tasks that I was getting asked to do, I kept kind of directing them, saying, grab that rope, pull it across there, use them buckets that side. And all of a sudden, the team were following me, and I kind of felt the cameras homing in on me as well a little bit by taking a bit of control. So I felt as if my building background, employing many people, helped me in a way because I took control of the situation. And before I knew it, I got to the next stage. So if you do get to the stages where you're brought in to do the group tasks, I certainly would think about what you're doing, focus on what you're doing, and try and take leadership, try and take control in it, because I'm pretty sure that's what Big Brother are going to be looking for. And then, as the weeks and months went by, for me, it went on for probably about 7 months, 8 months before I was actually told you're going in the house. And little did people know, there were 45,500 applicants applied in the UK in 1999. And as these applications went further and further, I got more paperwork sent to me, more details. And then I kind of got down to the last about 100 people. And then I got brought in to do screen checks. I kind of on camera, getting interviewed. Then there was police checks as well they had to do. Police checks on you, they had to do medical checks as well. So be aware, they are going to be quite invasive, looking into your background and your life. And we passed the police checks, and then I got another application sent through to me. And I remember this one. This was probably about 70 or 80 pages long, and some of the questions you had to answer in no less than 50 words or 100 words. I can't remember now. And I started doing it of an evening time, and I left it right to the last minute. I think on this application it had to be in, let's say, by the 31st of whatever. And I got all the way up to the 31st, and I was probably only on about page 20 or 30 because it was taking hours to do. And every night I'd do a little half an hour here and a half an hour there. Before you know it, the weeks went by. And I remember coming to one question, and it was quite personal. I won't actually say what it was, but I felt as if it was just a little bit too personal, if I'm being honest. And I just thought, you know what? It's not for me. Sorry. And I generally threw that application down on the floor. And I was living in a little cottage in Newport, Shropshire at the time, and all over the floor I had paperwork. I was doing my VAT returns from a building company, and I was thinking, oh, my accountant's chasing me, he's got to have these figures in, I've got to pay me VAT. I'm not bothering with that application form, and I threw it on the floor, and I carried on doing my VAT returns. And it got to about 9:30 that night, and I got a phone call off one of the producers and said, Craig, you were sent one of the final application forms in, quite a detailed one, quite a personal one, and the application closed today. You haven't sent it in. And I said to be quite honest, I didn't like one particular question on there. I felt it was a little bit too personal, and I just thought to myself, what type of program is this? Do I really want to be involved in it? And it generally was I had second thoughts and I didn't want to do it at this point. Although I got excited going through all the different applications, the interviews, police checks, medical checks, everything. And then all of a sudden it kind of deflated me. And I said to the producer, no, I've thrown it on the floor and I'm going to focus on my business, carry on with VAT returns. And she said to me, I won't mention the name, I don't want to get her into trouble. She said to me, Craig, please fill it in. You're down to the last 50 people and the other 49 people have sent theirs in. So fill it in. I said, I'm not answering in 50 or 100 words or whatever. And she said, just put whatever you want in, but promise me you get it in recorded delivery the next day. So I did. I stuck to my promise and I just started to be a little bit cocky in answering the questions, just one word answers. And I remember reading an article in the newspapers that week, and it was a student who was in his doing final exams or some assessment, and he had to write about a risk. He had to do a 10,000 word essay on risk. And all he wrote was, this is. And he put that in for his final exams. So in my approach, I thought, you know what, that's defining risk in a way. He's taken a big risk. He could have thrown away all of his education, but he'd done that. And that article stuck in my mind. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to be a bit cocky here. And I'm just going to take this risk because half of my heart doesn't want to do it now, but the other half has got a bit excited and I did really want to do it, you know. And I was doing it for a good reason as well. So I thought, stay focused, Craig, got to do it. I picked the application form up and I just quickly went through the answers. And I remember one question that come back and bit me in the arse, if I'm being honest. The day after I won Big Brother and I went to the press conference and the Wales media was sitting there, rows and rows of them all, hundreds of cameras and lights flashing. And one of this journalists said to me, Craig, back in so-and-so date, you filled an application form in. And on question 88, you were asked to answer in no less than 50 or 100 words. What will you most miss being in the house? And me being that cocky idiot, wrote one word, like that article. And I wrote sex. Generally, that's what I wrote. And it come back and bit me in the arse. But anyway, I stuck to my promise. I filled in all the rest of them, one word, just bump, bump, bump. Got it in the mail the next morning, sent off. Then I got asked to go back to London. Bedford Square it was at the time, to go meet the producers, the executive producers, people from Channel 4, etc. and have a psychiatric screening. So I sat down with this doctor and basically we just chatted for hours and hours and hours. So, you know, if you are going into this application form, be aware there's lots of different avenues that they have to do checks on you to see if you're fit and well and the type of person that they need or want for this type of program. So do be aware of that. And as for my advice to give you to, let's say, be a successful applicant and hopefully get on the program, is honesty is really the key. So your application form, if you can be as genuine as you can and give them reasons why you want to be on there, you know, try and think in your heart of heart, what is it I want from the program and what I want to be in there for? Because I do believe these new producers are going to be clever, very smart people, you know, and they're going to be looking for a different type of person that maybe what we've seen in the latter years of the Big Brother on Channel 5 and the end of Channel 4 as well, which we all know the public kind of got fed up with that and the viewing figures went down. A lot of people are saying in the press, I mean, I did about 15 interviews yesterday and they were all asking me, or they were all kind of telling me that, you know, ITV is saying we're going to take it back to basics, back to what it used to be like. So my advice for you, because we are in a different world now with social media. Remember, there was no social media at all in 1999 when I was applying, but now it dominates the world. So then producers are going to be searching on you when them application forms go in. They're going to be looking back at all your posts, what you're saying, what you're doing, where you've been, who you've been with. The last thing you want is to you be relatively successful in the stages of application, and then when they are really dissecting individuals and looking right through them to see what's there, you don't want them to be pulling up any dirt really that could affect you from getting in. So just try and be a bit smart what you're doing, or even look back at some of your posts and delete something if you don't think it's a good post up there, you know, that would go in your favour. Okay, so let's say you're successful and you're one of them lucky 10 people that get picked to be in the 2023 Big Brother, the first one for ITV. I'm even getting excited myself thinking about it. Don't bolt too soon, let's say. Don't turn up to try to be the loudest, you know, and get all that attention and try to be everybody's friend, because I think you'll burn out, in fairness. And if you start off being the loudest, I think it won't be long before people will find you probably the most annoying as well. I was quite quiet my first 4 or 5 weeks in the house. I didn't get much airspace, didn't get that involved in the politics that was going on in there, the arguments, the debates. I just done my thing, tried to be friendly, tried not to be two-faced with anyone, which, if I'm being fair, it's hard not to be in there, because the way Big Brother can kind of manipulate tasks and get you to do and say things, it can kind of draw you in that path. So be careful, always have your guard up. But start off keeping your cards close to your chest, keeping quite cool, not being too loud or annoying. Of course, try to do the best you can with all of the tasks, because they're fun to do and you will enjoy doing them. And if people are falling out in there and having their little rows and debates, try not to get involved. Don't pick sides, try to be neutral all the way. I mean, my incident with Nasty Nick, for instance, I hardly had any airspace. You know, he went in, he was probably the most educated person that was in the house. He earned the most money, and he generally thought he could outsmart us all by telling lies and trying to manipulate the voting system, and it backfired on him. You know, and I think there's a lesson learned there that don't go down that route. Be honest even when you're in there, and stay positive. Try and make the energy in there. Try and make people feel happy if they're down. You know, I think the viewers at home are going to like and support somebody in there who's acting a bit of a rock and supporting the people who are down, because they will get down. I was down in there, you know, we were all down. You know, it was like a funeral environment, real morbid when Nasty Nick left the house. Although we wanted him to leave and we knew he'd done wrong and he cheated, and we were all trying to, you know, play by the rules, we were really, really upset and down. But that soon turned around when they brought us a beautiful takeaway meal in and a few bottles of cheap plonk. Cheered us all up. We were easily bought in there. And that's what you've got to be careful of. You are easily bought, because Big Brother has this control over you. We had to live on £1.50 a day to buy our food, groceries, drink, everything, and cook meals out of that. And collectively, we put that money together and made a list of what we wanted, and that caused arguments alone. So you're always hungry in there, you always want more food and drink, and they have that control that if you do this task or if you do this and play up to that, we'll give you a little bit more, and they keep drawing you in. So be ready. And always remember, if you do get down to them last 50 application forms, be careful, because you never know who is watching you. One thing you can rely on, Big Brother's always watching you. So if you do apply, guys, good luck with it, and keep me posted. Let me know in the comments below. Oh. Just cut that out. Yeah, just cut it out.